Welcome back everyone to a brand new SkillCapped video. In this one, we'll be updating you guys on the top 3 best champions to climb low elo the fastest. Easy to pilot, strong in meta, and possessing a low ban rate are the 3 key factors we used when choosing which champions to feature. But before we get into it, be sure to check out SkillCapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description for a special discount. So with that being said, let's jump right in. The Mundo rework has turned the champion into a monstrous low elo pick, and he'll be our first top lane recommendation. Mundo ticks every single one of our boxes in that he's very simple to pilot, is a great meta pick, and holds a relatively low 8% ban rate. These fighter top laners who can become extremely tanky yet still deal immense damage are so great to climb with. Building tanky gives you that extra margin for error, and with the health regen from Mundo Ultimate, you can soak a truckload of damage in teamfights. Irelia is one matchup you should consider banning, as she fares very well into Mundo as a result of recent buffs. A sample core build is Anathema's Chains, Rush into Frostfire Gauntlet 2nd, and Spirit Visage 3rd. Anathema's is being purchased a ton in the higher elos on Mundo, but low elo players are sleeping on it, so give it a shot if you haven't already. Rune Page is Grasp of the Undying with Demolish, Second Wind, and Overgrowth. Pick up free boots and approach velocity for secondaries. The king of low elo for top lane you really need to have in your champion pool is Garen. Despite the Stridebreaker nerfs, many Garen players have jumped ship and are building Trinity to way more success. Garen was even directly buffed a few patches back, and Deadman's Plate saw a buff as well, which has left him in an amazing state. With a ban rate below 5%, it's so easy to spam Garen, and with how simple he is to pick up, you'll be smashing your opponent in no time. Definitely run Ignite instead of Teleport, as we see too many low elo Garens opt for the TP. Teleport as a summoner doesn't offer Garen as much value as other champions because his flank plays are very lackluster, and it's just way more difficult to facilitate good TP plays in low elo. Ignite gives you more agency in lane to pop off, snowball a lead, and hard carry. There are a few different builds you should try and see which you prefer. Stridebreaker and Immortal Reminder and Deadman's Plate is the most popular cookie cutter build right now. Trinity Force into Deadman's and Sterix is a very underrated build that Garen players are winning the most with. For runes, take Conqueror with Triumph, Tenacity, and Last Stand. Conditioning and Overgrowth are the best secondaries. Our third top lane pick has become indirectly stronger for 11.15, being Yorick. Hullbreaker buffs are amazing for Yorick, as it's a staple second item and allows him to dig his enemies' graves while splitting in the side lane. What makes Yorick such an insane pick for low elo is his ability to run away with a lead and push sides with relentless pressure. Coordination and rotational skills are lacking in the lower ranks, which will lead to you knocking down tower after tower in the split. A tip for splitting is to wait for your teammates to be on the map and pressuring a tower or objective before you move up yourself. If you die in the side lane because the enemy team sends multiple members, that's fine, as long as your team is in position to capitalize elsewhere. As you make your way to the side lane, look at the map, see where your teammates are, and then make your decision to wait or push up further. Core build for Yorick is Divine Sunder into Hullbreaker and Sterix Gauge. For runes, take Grasp of the Undying with Demolish, Bone Plating, and Overgrowth. Optimal secondaries are Overheal and Bloodline. A couple nice buffs this patch have pushed Shyvana up in priority and will be the first jungle recommendation. Scaling junglers like Shyvana are way more reliable in the low elos where games tend to last longer and you don't get punished as bad for having a weaker early game. Hard farm to level 6, scale into your 2-item spike, and you become an absolute unit in the mid game. Shyvana holds one of the lowest ban rates for any champ we will feature today at only 0.5%, so maining her is no issue at all. The massive hitbox on Shyvana E in dragon form gives her insane teamfight presence and can single-handedly win games with one nice AoE hit. Core build is Nashor's Tooth into Night Harvester and Cosmic Drive. Roll with Dark Harvest as the keystone, followed by Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collector, and Ravenous Hunter. Best secondary runes are Transcendence and Gathering Storm. A pick we highly advise you add to your champion pool in the jungle is Rammus. The mini rework from a few months back has given the Armadillo even more solo carry strength. Rammus can do a little bit of everything, as his early ganks are insanely strong, he scales like a beast against AD comps, and is a full tank with crazy damage. Rammus ban rate is only 6% right now, so you'll have plenty of opportunity to pick him. The biggest reason why Rammus is so consistent for the lower ELOs is because of how hard he counters the most popular champions. Master Yi, Lee Sin, Viego, and Xin Zhao are 4 of the most played junglers, and once Rammus begins stacking armor, those champs don't stand a chance against him. Not only jungle, but mid lane as well, you see a ton of Yasuo and Yone, which leads to very regular full AD comps, which Rammus can obliterate. Core build is Turbo Chemtank into Thornmail and Deadman's Plate. Run Aftershock as the keystone with Font of Life, Conditioning, and Unflinching. Best secondaries are Triumph and Alacrity. The most slept on jungler in the entire game right now is a godlike low elo pick in Trundle. Buff after buff have positioned Trundle in an amazing spot, and he's so rewarding to play against the meta jungle picks. If you're unaware, Trundle Q not only does damage, but it also reduces the enemy's attack damage. Playing into picks like Xin Zhao, Master Yi, and Lee Sin, who you see so often, allows Trundle to run away with games. Xin Zhao relies so heavily on dealing damage from autos to win out on extended duels, and Trundle can take away a longsword worth of AD at level 1 just by pressing Q. The majority of Trundle's damage comes from basic attacking, so when you gain an advantage early on, there's literally no way for the enemy to outplay you in the 1v1. This makes extending those early leads very consistent. Ban rate is also only 1%, so you'll have the opportunity to pick the Troll King every single game. For the build, rush a Divine Sunder into Titanic Hydra and Sterix Gauge. Press the attack is Trundle's best keystone with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Run Freeboots and Approach Velocity for secondaries. Moving on to our 3 mid lane picks, let's start off by looking at Malzahar. What makes Malz such a reliable pick is his premier catch potential with ult and ability to insta-clear waves post Lost Chapter buy. Ban rate is quite low at only 5%, so maining him won't be an issue. Your win conditions are very easy to follow and will lead to large amounts of success. Run Teleport to help with your weaker laning phase, farm up to Lost Chapter, buy, and then play aggressive around your ultimate cooldown. Communication with your jungler is key. When you tick level 6, spam ping assistance on your lane and have your jungler gank, as your ultimate is a free kill tool every time it's available. The core build is Liandry's into Rylai's and Demonic Embrace. Grab Summon Aerie as the keystone with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch. Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight are the go-to secondaries. This next pick may come as a bit of a surprise to some, but Kayle is a very sleeper low elo mid pick for many different reasons. There's no denying Kayle's scaling power, and when playing her in mid lane, you have a much easier time farming and reaching your spikes. Mid is just a shorter lane, so it means Kayle doesn't have to overextend herself to farm and can avoid ganks much easier. Most picked mids like Yasuo, Zed, and Yone are great for Kayle because she completely shuts them down with her ultimate. Zed wants to dive in and assassinate with his ult, but with a Kayle in the game, that won't be allowed. Wit's End is also super broken at the moment, and an item Kayle can abuse into heavy AP comps. Standard build is Nashor's Tooth into Riftmaker and Rabadon's, but grabbing Wits in the correct situations is great too. Pick up Press the Attack with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand for primary runes. Secondaries are Conditioning and Overgrowth. No matter the meta, there really won't be a time where we don't have Annie as a top 3 low elo pick for mid. She's just way too consistent, and if your main goal is to climb the fastest and actually improve at the game, then you should be playing Annie. Very little mechanical skill is required to pilot her, which allows you to focus on your fundamentals and macro elements of the game that make you a better player. Flash Tibbers is such a potent combo for solo queue and has very little counterplay, which will lead to you finding picks and solo winning many games. Matchup wise as well, Annie stomps the highly contested picks like Yasuo, Katarina, and Zed, as their point and click damage shuts down any outplay potential from their mobility. Ludens or Rocket Belt can work as a rush item, go into Azania's second and Avoid Staff third. Electrocute with Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collector, and Relentless Hunter are your primary runes. Best secondary page is Celerity and Scorch. Heading down to the bot lane, our first marksman you should be spamming is Ashe. A strong laner with playmaking ability and a simplistic kit are the main factors to why Ashe cracks our top 3. Another big reason is that she's just so strong in the current meta. I'm sure you've all heard of the new Korean Wit's End build by now, as that in combination with Immortal Shield Bow turns Ashe into a bruiser marksman. Pair Ashe up with any aggro meta support like Leona, Blitzcrank, or Thresh, and you can run away with games post level 6. Ashe ban rate hovers around 1%, so maining the Frost Archer will be no problem at all. A sample core build consists of Wit's End into Immortal Shield Bow and Rage Blade. Hail of Blades is the best keystone with Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collector, and Ravenous Hunter. Roll with Biscuits and Approach Velocity for secondaries. Although he's not your typical AD carry, Ziggs is a surefire hard carry bot lane pick. Ziggs is even more insane for the lower ranks because of his ability to rely way less on his supports in order to function. The long range from Ziggs' Q lets him sit safely in lane to farm up and poke the enemy out. If your support has not a clue as to what they should be doing, Ziggs doesn't get punished nearly as hard as your traditional ADCs. When you do have a good CC support though, it's so easy to pick up early kills as you follow with all your skill shots when the enemy is locked down to burst them out. With all the early pressure and tower taking capabilities, you can snowball extremely hard, not only winning your lane, but rotating around the map to knock all the other turrets down. Rush your Liandry's into Demonic Embrace and Zhonya's for the build. Comet followed by Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch are the best primary runes. Grab Freeboots and Biscuits for secondaries. One marksman you can always lean on to provide you with reliable carry force is Misfortune, one of the least mechanically intensive AD carries who is a teamfight monster and can win games with the press of a single button. Of course, we're talking about MF Ultimate here, which is one of the highest impact spells in the entire game. Playing off your support's engages are so simple with MF, which allows you to rack up lots of kills early on. Ban rate sits at 1.5%, giving you plenty of opportunity to main Misfortune. For the build, rush a Kraken Slayer into the Collector and Infinity Edge third. Conqueror is currently MF's best keystone with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Pick up Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm for secondaries. Coming right off some massive buffs from 11.15, Blitzcrank is the first support in our top 3. The game is completely in your hands when playing Blitz, as one good hook is all it takes to shift the momentum. Low elo players tend to stutter step way less often, which makes landing hooks a lot more consistent. As long as you ban out Morgana, you'll have a great time against most other meta supports. Lux is the most played support in the lower ranks right now, and Blitz has the ability to dismantle that lane. Blitz himself does have the highest ban rate for any champ in this video at around 15%, but it's not all too bad when you compare it to Leona sitting at 30%. Standard core build is Lock It into Zeke's Convergence and Knight's Vow. Shirelius is very underrated as a rush item when snowballing. For runes, take Guardian with Demolish, Conditioning, and Overgrowth. Best secondaries are Biscuits and Cosmic Insight. Zyra is the perfect support pick as her raw carry power is unmatched by most other supports. A couple buffs earlier in the season combined with mage item buffs have brought Zyra back into a very underrated spot. The strong poke power in lane, pick potential with root, and all-in strength at level 6 are what make Zyra a high priority pick. Is your ADC boosted and doesn't know how to auto attack? Doesn't matter, as Zyra can single out the enemy bot lane and one-shot them herself with a full combo. Are you tired of your teammates being completely useless in teamfights? It's a rarity if Zyra doesn't top the damage charts with how much AoE potential she has. Holding a ban rate below 4% means Zyra is extremely accessible in your games. You'll rush the Liandry's into Zhonya's and Demonic Embrace for the build. Take Comet as the keystone with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch. Taste of Blood and Relentless Hunter are the most optimal secondaries. And the final pick we have to round out the top 3 for support is Brand. Brand is very similar to Zyra in the sense that he's a strong team fighter, can pump out massive damage, and doesn't heavily rely on his ADC for success. Pressure in lane is great as you can look to poke with W whenever the enemy ADC goes for last hits. As you reach level 6, strike when the opposing support and ADC are grouped up for insane AoE damage from ult. All it takes is that one massive ult play in a late game teamfight, and you've suddenly got a free path to the enemy's nexus. Ban rate for Brand is around 5%, so it's no problem locking him in every game. Build is the exact same as Zyra, with the Liandry's and Zhonya's and Demonic Embrace. Run Dark Harvest as the keystone, with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collector, and Ravenous Hunter. Mana Flow and Scorch are your best secondaries. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week. With over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses, no one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into ELO hell 629 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $4.99 a month if you're serious about improving. Alright guys, that's going to be all for this one. Good luck out there in solo queue, and we'll see you next time.